My name is Ahron Weiner. I am a fine art and documentary photographer who also runs an advertising agency here in New York named Our Man in Havana. I've been shooting for 12 or 14 years and spent a fair amount of time living and traveling in Eastern Europe documenting former Jewish sites, and then this event in Uman, which is the largest Jewish pilgrimage to any point outside of Israel. 25,000 men and their sons travel for 3 to 5 days to pray at the grave of Rabbi Nachman from Wroclaw, a spiritual seer who passed away 200 years ago and is still revered as the one true leader of the Breslov Hasidic movement. This event can be best described as Mount Sinai meets Woodstock. It is equal parts a spiritual fervor and joyous celebration in a festival-like atmosphere. The reason that people go and have gone has to do with a promise that Rabbi Nachman made on his deathbed 200 years ago. He said that if you come to my grave on Rosh Hashanah and you give a penny to charity, and you say the 10 psalms that he put together in an assemblage called Tikkun Klali, he would do everything he could to intercede on your behalf in heaven. He would even pull you out of hell by your payas. And one thing that I found really interesting the first year and just sort of took on deeper layers of meaning was the diversity of people that attended, because Rabbi Nachman was a chassid and his adherents are Breslov Hasidim, but this event attracts people from across the Jewish spectrum. So you have Hasidim, but not just Breslov. You have Lubavitch, you have Satmar, you have Belz, you have modern Orthodox people. I've met conservative, I've met Reform. I've actually met people that aren't even Jewish who go there because they feel some kind of spiritual kinship. And this is one of the photos that really sums the whole thing up, because if you look, you can see every kind of Jew. It's a very rich tapestry of Judaism. I mean, you have these moments of incredible spiritual fervor. If you read the text around Mount Sinai, it kind of feels like that, or like what I imagined it would be, like very, very deep emotion and people praying and screaming and just crying out. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's this very festival-like atmosphere that most closely resembles the two Woodstock anniversary shows I went to 10 and 15 years ago. This was one of the first images that I took the first year. I shot this on September 15th, 2004, and I came across this group of revelers jamming on the street with djembe drums and a shofar, a Sephardi shofar. I've been in synagogue my whole life, and I've seen shofars used for ritual, but I've never seen them used for celebration. So this was just, for me, a totally surprising thing. To get this shot, I had to climb on top of the roof of Rabbi Nachman's grave. There's a channel cut in the roof for men that are Kohanim to sort of get close to his grave, but not right on top of it. So I was up there on the roof with a bunch of other people. I just kind of looked in and saw this shot and took it. And like the first shot that I shared in the slideshow, this is also a real the tapestry of the different kinds of people you can pick out from. I'd say from a black hat to baseball cap to white yarmulke to knit yarmulke to no yarmulke. Everyone is represented here in some way. So it's a nice single image that really tells the whole story. Reb Berland, I was in the main synagogue, and I captured the shot of this otherworldly image of this rabbi holding these two Sfarim with this black hat. And I loved the photo, and I just sort of included it in my select. So when I came back the next year and showed it to some people, they said, "Oh my God, how'd you get that shot of Rabbi Berland?" And I said, "Who's Rabbi Berland?" Reb Berland leads the community in Jerusalem, and he's the top guy. He has an entourage that do not let people near him for any reason, certainly not to take pictures. There are 25,000 people need to sleep, they need to eat, they need to pray, they need to take a ritual bath at some point, and they'll just go to a local lake and strip down and jump in, and that's where they go to the mikveh. It's not one or two people, it's dozens or hundreds of people are doing this constantly. This was one of the last photos I took before I left in 2009. I was at the tomb, at the Rebbe's tomb, and out in the back there was this terrace. And I was kind of sitting around. I think I was leaving a few hours later. I was just trying to figure out how to wrap it all up. And there were a couple of Hasidim that kind of came out and they were praying, and then two of them started dancing. A fourth joined them. It's as much about the dancers and their movement as it is about the shadows on the floor that are echoing them. And once I put my camera down, I actually joined them. I danced for a couple of minutes. They were totally into it, and that was that was really the hallmark of the entire 6 years that I was there. I found people were incredibly open and welcoming. There were a few layers of meaning here, I think. Uman was the site of a pogrom 300 years ago where somewhere between 5,000 and 20,000 Jews were butchered in over a 3-day period because they didn't want to convert to Christianity, and they were buried in two mass graves. When the Nazis came through, they also massacred about 17,000 of the local inhabitants there. So when I'm looking at this shot, he's lighting a candle for many different people. I mean, he may be lighting it for somebody that he wants to remember personally, or Rabbi Nachman, or what happened about 60 or 70 years ago, or what happened about 300 years ago. There's a lot of tragedy in Eastern Europe, and actually this site has quite a bit of it. So the fact that people are returning is kind of inspiring.